This is Mani. We are here with episode 28 of our AI GTM Talks series, and super excited for today's session. For those who are new to AI GTM Talks, as you know, we do these every week, Thursdays at 8:30 a.m. Pacific. We bring on really, high high quality, really good either AI GTM tech CEOs who do a deep dive into one product tech functional area, or we bring on revenue leaders who talk about how their AI is transforming their go-to-market at their companies. We also bring on expert practitioners that we know well, we trust what they do, and kind of the knowledge and insight hopefully they can bring and share with you all. And so I'm super excited to bring on Scott Vusinski. Scott is the co-founder of GTMiFi. I'm going to put up a slide, Scott, to introduce you. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks, Manny. So if you bring in leaders, and I don't know how I slipped through the cracks.
No, it's all good, Scott. I know we met through Pavilion, this community of revenue leaders, and we got to know each other, and more recently we've been doing some interesting work together. So excited to have you here. So I'm going to tee it up, Scott, really with one slide. And this is, came out to a conversation, I've had with some CMOs and revenue leaders, right, in the recent weeks. And this is all about how the AI GTM tech stack, right, is completely changing and is being transformed, right? The go-to-market tech stack is being transformed due to AI. So let me put up that slide. And I'd love for you, Scott, maybe to tee things up, right? Talk about it, comment on it. And then I know you have some very interesting material to share. So we can get into that next. Yeah, sound good?
Sounds like a plan. Let's let it rip.
Let's go. So I'm going to bring this up first. This is the one slide that I wanted to put up first. So this is really to talk about, at least among the folks I've been talking to, right, how they're thinking about a modern tech stack. Now, clearly, this is really, let's be upfront about this, right? This is really the outbound motion. There's stuff around inbound, there's stuff around PLG. There's probably additional layers you can add to this. But today, I know a lot of our conversation is going to be around the, so-called outbound, aspect of, building GTM processes. So this one, as you can see, right, it has a signals hub, it has an orchestration hub, it has a content engine, it has systems of engagement, which is where you have some of the more traditional SaaS tools that come into play, CRM, right, on and on. And then you have some of the messaging components. There's a lot that, as you know, goes into getting some of this stuff kicked off in terms of GTM and outbound GTM motions. So I'm happy to put up some of the material I think, Scott, you put together. So really, if you can get into how you think about, right, go-to-market motions today using AI. So Scott, over to you.
So, commenting on the AI go-to-market tech stack. So at GTMiFi, we fundamentally believe in three things. Quanzu is one of the foundational pieces of our tech stack that we've partnered with. GTMiFi is solving the problem of disparate solutions in the go-to-market landscape. So the challenge that we found is there's a lot of stuff out there, right? There's intent signals, there's email, there's LinkedIn, there's prospecting and lead enrichment. So we've basically amalgamated a bunch of best-of-breed solutions that are our own waterfall enrichment that leverages Full Enrich, Zero, Ocean, Apollo, Find Email, Prospeo, and build our own piece there. We've made Quanzu the foundational element using the Signal Hub for both on-site and off-site intent, which then drives real-time outbound sequences, that flow through Lemlist and Instantly and Get Sales. So the idea that we're trying to solve for, if you go back to the last slide, Manny, the second one.
Okay, yeah. Let's kick it off here, Scott. Yeah, that'd be great. Go ahead.
So the problem that we're solving for is we always take the challenger sales approach. So why outbound stalls? It's your strategy is flawed, not your execution. So you hired rep, bought tools, but without a living engine, whether it be account scoring or persona scoring and one-to-one personalization that learns, like, it fails. Often people say they have data. A lot of times the data is not clean, not effective, or you have the wrong type of data. So you measure activity. So what do your sales reps and BDRs do? They send emails and make calls, but they're not focusing on the intent signals that really drive the most relevant conversations. Your tech stack is inefficient because it's not linked together. It's not orchestrated. So you're sending emails, you're making calls, but they're to the wrong people. And that's the biggest difference. Without having intent as part of the equation, you're trying to roll a boulder up a hill at the end of the day.
Yeah. So, Scott, let me ask you this. There are a lot of people who are very skeptical about intent, right? I mean, they don't believe that stuff works. Why do you think that is? What's going on there with intent?
The skepticism about intent is, I mean, that's fine. You can be skeptical. The people that are using intent are growing their business and building pipeline. We have some anecdotes of like a POC that Quanzu ran with me for Avanade, that the results are astounding. That was all intent-based outreach, so using Quanzu's platform, somebody from Abercrombie and Fitch, who's the VP of supply chain, searches for AI supply chain solutions or sustainability in supply chain. That kicks off a real-time sequence going to our basically go-to-market brain, which is built with agents and Octave, that we have a specific playbook for Abercrombie and Fitch. We have run deep account research. We've run a cost of doing nothing analysis, which is a different type of positioning the conversation as opposed from an ROI perspective, where you're really creating the urgency of the conversation. Look at how much money you're leaving on the table by doing nothing. And so that intent signal with the account research, with the deep cost of doing nothing analysis, the persona enrichment, the case studies that we had, the solutions, the personas we were targeting, 16 personas across 8 different functions of decision makers and decision influencers. You're then triggering a 21-day sequence being delivered by Lemlist to the decision maker, who put his hand up and raised his hand based on that intent signal. 7 days into that workflow, I got a response and a meeting booked from that real-time sequence. So it took a couple touches. It took till, I think, the 5th touch in 7 days, but it works. And then go ahead, Mani.
No, so I know you put this material together, so let maybe continue down this path. I mean, I just posed that question more, because I know a lot of people watching might be like, we've had experience with intent in the past, it's not worked, right? I was just trying to tee that up for a conversation, but I know we'll get back to that a little bit later.
Got it.
But in terms of the material you prepared, so you've got the problem statement here, outbound, what tends to, break down in terms of outbound. Let me put up your next slide, if you can please, maybe speak to that. Okay, so this is, I think you're getting into what you guys really do. So can you elaborate, please?
This is the process that we do. So we go through, Mani went through the onboarding process yesterday for Quanzu. So product docs, customer stories, pricing, ICP, personas, value props, like all of that is built out during the onboarding process. And then we're going to continue to aggregate firmographic, technographic, and then use the information from your either accounts that you're targeting or the scaled system, which is really a fancy way to say that you have a wide TAM, where we're going to go deep, but not as deep as like an account level depth. If you have 75 or 8,000 accounts that you want to prospect into. And then we're going to orchestrate across multi-channels. After we've done account level scoring and tiering, we've done persona scoring and enrichment and prospect enrichment, and put them into different tiers. And then the account tiers as well as the prospect tier determines like how they are reached out to, what the methodology that's used, what the messaging is used, what the cadence is used. And then based on all of that, it's optimized on a repetitive loop, and everything is dumped into a unified inbox across LinkedIn, email, that you can interact and see. And then once you have a meeting, we drop it into your CRM.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, there's a lot there. So I know you. I think one of the things I did, I was hoping, yeah, and I know we'll get into that also in a bit, which is I was just like, you have some very detailed, in-depth, right, broken down workflows that you've developed, right, for each of these specific GTM processes and GTM steps, and hopefully we can get into that, Scott. That I think a lot of folks will find that quite interesting. But let's finish the high level first, because I think you explained the problem. You explained for outbound how you guys are approaching outbound, how you're doing this, these different steps. And so what I want to bring up next is the I think next, I know you have a slide on the Quanzo stuff. We'll get to that later, and some of the experience you've had with our collaboration. But maybe I'll turn it over to you, Scott, next, if you can elaborate on different areas you guys have been building out this GTM tech, they call it the modern GTM AI GTM tech stack, and
Yeah.
different
So
components. That'd be interesting for people. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so fundamentally, we believe in three things. We believe in the modern go-to-market flywheel is an orchestrated motion between content, outbound, and intent. And
Got
so
it.
when I talk about content, we're talking about not only content publishing, establishing yourself so as a thought leader within a specific realm relative to your product or service. So we built a content engine, which, given your LinkedIn profile, given what your product or service does, we're going to help establish you as a thought leader in that space. So that content engine starts about 30 days, realistically, 3 weeks before you want to start running outbound. And the content engine produces 4 long form articles and 82 posts, or 1 post a day, over 12 weeks. And what that does is, the way the LinkedIn algorithm works is, the top tier bucket is 11 posts a week. Well, that's probably too much for most people to manage. So we're putting people into the second bucket, which is 6 to 10 posts a week. And what that does is that helps the algorithm, like, for the consistency, to help boost your visibility. The next thing it does is, in the content engine, is we're going to optimize your LinkedIn profile for outbound, whether it be your headshot, your banner, your title. The biggest thing is one of the biggest things is your featured things. But there's basic fundamental things that we find with people who are outbound. You wouldn't believe how many people that want to run outbound have a closed profile that's not open. So they're not discoverable unless they're a connection. How do you run outbound if you have a closed profile? So there's some basic hygiene that happens as part of that process. And once we have the content plan, there's like a strategy, the foundation, all the different elements, and we're going to produce both the short form and the long form content as part of that, and then give it to you, as well as give you the tool to be able to set it up and publish it. So that's the content publishing piece. When we talk about the content engagement piece, one of our other partners is Pitch Ghost. And so what we're doing is, if you want to run an account play, say you have 175 accounts, we're going to find the decision makers and decision influencers, so CXOs, VPs, and directors, at those 175 accounts. 175 accounts, depending on the size of the account, could be 20,000 or it could be 30,000 people, depending on your product or service and who the decision makers and influencers are. Is it supply chain? Is it operations? Is it finance? Is it sales or revenue? And then we set up the monitoring of those people. And then in Pitch Ghost, it's going to give you the ability to interact with those people and the content that they publish at scale. So 30,000 people you want to interact with, you spend about an hour a day interacting with it. We firmly believe that it's AI enabled. AI is an amplifier, and it's not at the point yet where it should just be given the keys to the kingdom. So we firmly believe with a human in the loop. So it's going to give you It's going to find the posts. It's going to give you recommended actions, whether you want to like, celebrate, whether you want to comment. It'll give you the proposed comment. You can edit the comment. And it allows you to do this at scale. It will queue all of those items so it doesn't burn your LinkedIn profile. By doing that and interacting with these people, you are creating your name recognition. You would be surprised at how many people at the CXO and VP level, when you start interacting with their content, they look at your profile, they may send you a connection request. So I've had a lot of success with this personally. And we've seen a lot of success with this with clients as well. So once they recognize your name and you're interacting with their content and you're publishing content, then you start running the outbound and running the LinkedIn to these people and the emails to these people. Your name now becomes recognized and you're more likely to get a response, and a positive response at that.
Got it. So these are the key components on the content side. So what happens next? Let's say you got your content figured out. What next?
So you've got your content figured out. Your outbound engine is set up. Your email inboxes are provisioned, like your signature, the sender name, all of that stuff is set up. Your email is warmed up. And then you're going to run, we'll say, cold outbound, but then you're really going to focus on setting up the intent piece in Quanzu, right? So are you monitoring specific people, account-based or CRM monitoring? Or are you monitoring specific topics? The topics would go with like the scaled play where you have a wide TAM. The contact monitoring would be the CRM, or contact monitoring as Quanzu calls it, where you're going to target the people that you just identified that you're now monitoring in Pitch Ghost.
Yeah. I just put up the slide you had, right, about how we are working together, Scott. So I figured people might find this interesting if you can speak to this.
Yeah, so we're monitoring on-site intent signals, off-site intent monitoring with the 90,000 different websites, and we're monitoring those people and what they do. So when somebody raises their hand, that's one of those decision makers or decision influencers about a specific topic, that feeds downstream into the go-to-market brain, which is powered by both agents and Octave. And then that triggers real-time sequences across using Lemlist. And so Lemlist is a 21-day sequence where we're sending emails, we're sending LinkedIn connections, LinkedIn messages, creating a clone of your voice on LinkedIn, sending LinkedIn voice memos. Lemlist now has a integration to cold call if you want to do cold calling through there. If you want to do cold calling through another tool that you have, we can deliver the first name, email, and phone number as a task that needs to be done in another tool if that's how you want to do it. But it's a lot of touches in that 21-day period.
Yeah. So why don't we then, Scott, do this? If we can finish up, since we're on the topic of intent, how we're collaborating, maybe you can speak to the results, right? Because I know we ran this POC with you at Avanade, since early July. Let me put up that slide. If you can speak to that, and then we'll move on. And love to hear you now start to peel the layers of the onion in terms of the content engine. How is it built? This is all the different pieces, right? That'd be amazing, I think, for people watching. So let's finish this topic. We ran a POC with you. This is a $14 billion company, large company, lots of products, solutions. They're selling into large enterprises. You had your own patch of accounts, and you had 3 digital sellers, on and on. So I'm setting the stage here, but over to you.
Yep.
So I'll put the next slide, but if you want to get going,
I started off with 23 accounts. One of our BDEs left. I was given another 35 for FY26. I was going to have 175 accounts. So Microsoft's fiscal year, Avanade is owned 82% by Accenture, 18% by Microsoft. And, for FY26, which starts in September, I was going to have 175 accounts. What happens is Microsoft gets their new accounts in July. We're aligned to Microsoft's ATUs. And, those 4 ATUs and those 4 ATU leaders We ran the deep account intelligence, the cost of doing nothing for all of those accounts. So like this is something that scales at the account level. I had two digital sellers helping me because we were using GTMiFi methodologies, but we weren't using the tool directly because that's a whole nother conversation about conflict of interest and things like that. But we were using all the methodologies in a parallel tech stack.
Mm-hmm.
We were using the Quanzu intent signals. So we set up intent monitoring for, 12,000, 10,000 people. And we're getting the real-time intent signals downstream. Initially, before it was integrated into Lemlist, I had my digital sellers just manually reaching out to them, and they were making progress and getting meetings. Once we had it integrated into it, go ahead.
No, I was going to just add a little bit of detail to what you said, because I'm sure folks interested will, listening will be curious. So I remember we were seeing anywhere from 25 to 85 alerts every day, right? Across
Correct.
those 10,000 odd contacts. And these are your top, enterprise accounts, all your top key contacts that your sellers are trying to penetrate and start conversations with. But anyway, yeah, back to you, Scott.
Yeah. So we were interacting with them and people were manually reaching out and they were scheduling meetings. But, out of 175 accounts, like I had probably had 15 meetings by the time in the end of August when I left. And there was another 45 meetings or so scheduled for September and October. So that's 60 accounts that are net new greenfield, white space prospecting that we were able to get into using this methodology as far as content, outbound, and intent. And as far as content goes, I had gotten a bunch of other people in our group, our EOU, that are SMEs to publish content. There was about 8 of us. So there was a big content push happening. And again, you'd be surprised about how many people, when somebody's not a seller and they're an SME, how many people in leadership roles from these other companies actually reach out to them in LinkedIn and say, hey, I really like what you posted. Like, hey, can we have a call about it? And there's your conversation. At the end of the day, my job was to get conversations.
Got it. So, hey, thanks for this, Scott. I think hopefully this, gives people a flavor of, if they make an investment in this type of monitoring and CRM monitoring intent, offsite intent, what kind of outcomes they can expect, or at least the range of our, possible outcomes. So back to you, Scott. In terms of now at GTMiFi, I know you've been building out this AI GTM tech stack. Can we dive a little deeper into what does it take to build each of these GTM motions for customers?
What does it take? Time, experience, willing to make mistakes and learn from them. We've taken tools and switched tools in and out. We had HeyReach and we switched out HeyReach for Get Sales because it was a better user experience and it actually protected the user's LinkedIn profile more. So those are some of the things in the decision. So what does it take? Most of the stuff that we built is built with agents and N8N. We're connecting to different tools, whether it be using MCP servers or connecting directly with APIs. In places where there are gaps, we've built our own agent or process or automation to fill some of those gaps. Like the content engine is orchestrated agents that happen both in series and parallel with a feedback loop. There wasn't anything out there that did what we wanted to do. So that was something that we built. My opinion is you should always be having an internal conversation and debate whether you build versus buy. Do you want to own it or do you want to rent it? And so us as a company that's basically built with other tools, Quanzu, Instantly, all the other tools that I rattled off, those are tools that do something really well. I don't want to solve a problem that's already solved. I want to solve a problem that I see in the market that's around orchestration of all of these tools. And that's
Got
the
it.
challenge that we're solving.
Mhm.
And that's really the approach that we're taking. Like, if there's something out there that does it, why not use something that's off the shelf? COTS, as we called it at ThoughtWorks, commercial off the shelf software.
Mhm.
It provides acceleration. It's almost like using an accelerator. So we've taken a bunch of commercial off the shelf software. We've stitched it together. We've put a UI on top of it. We've put an abstraction layer so that the tools are abstracted, so that as we want to change the tools out, there's no impact to the user.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Um, and then what are you seeing? I mean, is there any kind of I know you've showed me some of those workflows. Any of them that you want to share on this talk, or what are you thinking on that front?
Do you have them? Yeah, I can share some of them. I got to pull them
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. You can share your screen, Scott. It set up
Let
a
me
screen sharing.
find
Yeah.
the.
Because I think that's one of the things that I found quite interesting, quite unique, is that you really spent the time to think through what does it take to put these together, which I don't know if everybody understands or appreciates the level of uh, thinking you put in to some of these workflows.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
so like, this is the content intelligence engine, and like, I'm a transparent person. I don't have any problem telling people the tools we're using, like,
no,
and people can go out and do it on their own. If it was something easy, everybody would go and do it, but it's hard
sure.
orchestrating all this stuff. So this
Yep.
is the content intelligence engine. These are like the deliverables that are part of it: psychology analysis, strategic foundation, framework development, LinkedIn profile optimization. Everywhere you see this purple thing, this is like an agent that's especially built for
Yep.
this.
Yep.
Content strategy framework. We produce 4 long form articles in a 12-week period. There's 6 formats that we use: bold opinion or thought leadership, personal story or social proof, results, mini list, educational, irresistible question, and client evidence. And then everything we do is quality in the loop, human in the loop. So there's a QA checkpoint. We use Supergrow for multi-channel distribution across LinkedIn. A lot of this stuff can be used as long form articles on your website, or can be turned into blog articles, or any of that stuff. And then this
Hmm.
should help drive inbound meetings. And then there's reporting on how well your stuff is doing. So that's
Yep.
like the content intelligence engine. And I know we're coming up on time, but basically,
Scott, no, we can go to 45. We're good. We're good with time.
um, you mean go to 12:15?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So this is the GTMiFi use cases. This is where
Yeah.
we're saying that we're going to go account based. This is precision and depth, scale systems. This is a fancy way of saying that you have a wide TAM, growth and intelligence, and ecosystem activation with a native integration to Crossbeam. So like, if Quanzu and GTMiFi wanted to run a partner play, we're
Mm.
speaking in this about the same joint value prop, but Manny's orchestrating outbound from his stack. I'm orchestrating outbound from my stack. So now, instead of that prospect or lead getting hit with one sequence, they're getting hit with Manny's sequence and Scott's sequence. So it's more touches, and you're basically orchestrating that serendipitous moment. And
Mm.
using this partner activation is where this idea of this tool came from. I built
Got
the
it.
retail vertical at HTech, onboarded 35 partners in
Mm.
3 months, had all this
Mm.
partner overlap data, and was like, all right, what do I do with it? I built $100 million worth of qualified pipeline in just around 3 months.
Gotcha.
So this is your value prop, your ICP, what your total addressable market is versus your total sellable market. Fundamentally, I believe that there is a fundamental difference, and
Mm.
25%, give or take, is always going to be unsellable for whatever reason.
Hmm.
The list building, Instantly, Apollo, Ocean, Zero, Lead Magic, Sales Nav, account prospecting, this is still all at the account level. And then this
Hmm.
is where we're getting account signals from Quanzu, tech stack, news, fundraising. This is account level signals still. Then we're
Hmm.
getting account scoring. This is where we score the accounts, and the tiers get broken down into different tiers, and each
Yeah.
tier is handled a little bit differently.
Got
So
it.
for tier 1, you can, send pen to paper handwritten notes. You pay for the postage. You can integrate with cold calling tools, have personalized videos and landing pages. Tier 1 is where we're going to focus on that content engagement and the content engine. We have a deal with SiteGlide where they build your first landing page for free. Again, this is all tier 1. This is still at the account level. LinkedIn, website, who's visiting your website. This is your intent piece. This can then feed back into your traditional outbound and person level qualification. But this is interacting with people's LinkedIn signals. Who's visiting your website based on the content you're publishing? I'm, getting notifications in Slack right now about people visiting our website from RB2B and Warmly and Quanzu. So it's a pretty interesting process. I mean, I can tell you that there's some interesting people. I don't want to call people out on the call, but about who's been on the website and whose identities we resolved.
Got it.
So tier 2 goes through our waterfall enrichment. It's not necessarily in this order. That's kind of some of the special sauce. So we use full enrich, Apollo, find email, plus an agent, Prospeo, Zero, and Ocean. Then at the persona level, we're looking for lead signals. Again, what's happening on LinkedIn? What are the offsite and onsite signals? And then we're breaking the people down into decision makers, which is normally CXOs and VPs. Decision influencers are usually your directors and below. And again, those tiers are handled differently. The messaging is going to be different, all of the different things. And so then you're running LinkedIn outbound and email, scheduling inbound meetings, and then we drop it right into your sales process. Our email infrastructure sits in Pork Buns, Scaled Mail, Instantly, Lemlist. And then as far as the intent piece goes, this is really, again, where I think the special sauce is. So your website, topic-based intent, lead-based intent, and then this is all powered by Quanzu. This stuff feeds into the account signals, the individual lead signals. This stuff feeds into the brain, which is an agent with Octave. And then this is the intent-based outbound.
I think, Scott, this would be very interesting for people if you don't mind elaborating on, once you have this intent and you understand the topics of interest to different people. I know you're doing some mapping of topics to offers, right? And you're really starting to personalize the outgoing messages through Octave. If you can please elaborate on that. Yeah.
So let's see if this works. So this is the use case that we were talking about for Avanade, right?
Right.
So the Avanade use case. So this is set up in Octave where we've built out the library. So Avanade is the product. This is a service provider. Like, what is the description, the value, the status quo, the challenges that are addressed, the capabilities, and the customer benefits. So there's a deep library that's built out here. So what are the personas? These are 16 personas. So let's see, a revenue executive. This is a description. What are their primary responsibilities, pain points, objectives, concerns, common job titles, why they matter to us and why we matter to them. So this is for 16 different people. So then there's all the different use cases. These were solution plays, right? So we'll say intelligent inventory optimization. What is the description, the scenarios, the desired outcomes, business drivers? What are the industries? What are the technologies that are used? This is all building out the brain for the intent-based outcome.
Yeah.
What are the reference customers? 1-800-Flowers, for instance. This is a publicly facing case study. This is all publicly facing information. So Avanade implemented a Dynamics 365 contact center, how we impacted their business, how they benefited from the product, how they make money. And then, for instance, then you're going to build out playbooks. The playbooks are specific for your target accounts. And so, for instance, let's pick, I don't know, let's pick Kohl's. So say we get an intent signal from Quanzu for calls. This information has all been gleaned from the deep account research from the agent, as well as the cost of doing nothing. So here I have all the messaging. I have all the description about what we've done for calls, the key insights, the executive summary. What is the approach angle? What are the key value props that we want to talk to? Fragmented systems, fuel churn, Dynamics, SharePoint, whatever it may be. This is all built out programmatically based on the stuff that happens before it. What are the qualifiers? And then it's used by the different agents. And then the agents are, because I turned them off. And then the agents are set up here. So you have an agent configuration. So this is an intent-based account outreach. This is a 4-step cold email sequence. This is the LinkedIn profile. This gives you all the different customizations, how you want to customize it. So all of this stuff is done. What is the output? And then this drops the content downstream through N8N that goes to Lemlist. And Lemlist is the delivery mechanism. And Lemlist looks like this for the sequences. So like this is the sequence for Lemlist, right? You get an invitation, then you do a call, then you send an email, then you wait a day and do another call, then you send a voice message, send an email, chat message, another email, another chat message. So like this is the orchestrated outbound. So all of this stuff is sent and the copy is written by Octave and it's delivered to Lemlist and Lemlist does the execution. Then what happens is you have a unified inbox where all of your messages are dropped into your inbox from everything that's happening. So this is 224,000 emails that have come back into the GTMiFi mailbox that is running on 196 email boxes through scaled mail.
Got it. So
and that's how the sausage is made.
Yeah, no, I think you really got into pretty much every step, what happens, in detail. So I'm sure, hopefully, folks will appreciate that they get they literally got a behind the wall tour into what's really going on, as you said.
Yep.
So okay, let's take a step back, Scott. In the time we have left. So can you speak to how do you see where there's the traditional tech stack that people have. So if we can talk maybe about different types of potential customers who could leverage this type of solution offerings that you guys offer at GTMiFi. I know you're trying to cater to, you said, companies with $1 million ARR and up. You're going after SMB, early stage companies.
Yeah. So I mean, over $1 million ARR is kind of really the price point where it makes sense for somebody to pay $8,500 a month. It depends on where they are. It depends on where they're funded. So I could think of a company that's $1 million ARR where that's funded, that's looking to get to 5 or 10 million, and leveraging this could help them make that leap. So there's really 3 different ways that we engage. The first question is I ask everybody is, do you want to rent the stack or do you want to own the stack? If you want to own the stack, we engage in 2 ways. We do advisory, which is advisory, and then you do hands-on keyboard. And then there's consulting, which is advisory plus us doing hands-on keyboard. So if you have tools that you're tied into contracts and you've signed year-long or multi-year SaaS contracts, which is recommended only if it's Quanzu. In other cases, like we're always going to recommend to give you the flexibility of the month to month because it gives you more flexibility as things change. Quanzu is the only provider that Quanzu and Octave are the only 2 that we're in a long-term relationship with. We're past the dating. We're married.
Thanks.
So there's advisory where we advise, you do. There's consulting where we advise and we do. And then if you want to rent the stack, like the Figma that I showed everybody, like you rent the stack and it's LinkedIn, email, and intent is one price. If you just want to run LinkedIn, it's one price. If you just want to run email, everything's on the website with the pricing calculator that I'm proud of. I vibe coded that. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do. If you're locked in, we had a conversation this morning with somebody who owns a bunch of tools and they're in year-long contracts. And he's like, well, I don't want to eat that money. That's a sunk cost. All right, well, then we can do consulting. We can take the stuff you have and set up something lightweight for you. And then you manage the stack, or you engage us as a managed service to manage it for you. And then we set up a plan to transition you out of that to where you rent. So we're flexible, we're small, we're scrappy.
Got it. Well, what do you think? I mean, I guess you're right. It varies, right? But each customer, some people want to own it, some people want to rent it, some people want to have everything done in-house. So it changes from customer to customer. So looks like you're giving basically a menu of options. It's like either, that's what I'm hearing, right? So
yeah, you want to rent it, it's the GTMiFi stack. That's the prepackaged solution off the website. If you want a custom solution where we can help you take what you have and build around it, and then you manage it and we hand it over, or we hand it over and we manage it on a retainer, or if you want us to just give you advisory and tell you like what you're doing, like I would say like one of the biggest things that I see is that people don't run lookalikes based off a closed one. They don't analyze why they're winning deals and losing deals and identify the similarities in both groups. You can have multiple groups, like stuff that gets to a certain stage in your pipeline that fails. Like that's the biggest thing that I see with, say, RevOps, is that people aren't doing the correct analysis of their pipeline.
Yeah. The other question, Scott, I get asked a lot. And by the way, this is hopefully one of the last questions, then we'll wrap it up. I see a lot of customers struggling with figuring out what is the ideal cost per SQL, or getting to that sales qualified lead, or that discovery meeting for their business. Any rules of thumb or any kind of general guidance on how they should be thinking about that? Is there anything you've seen that you like?
I think the SQL cost is a percentage of what your customer lifetime value would be. I think your sales qualified lead, I think you should be much more willing to pay a much higher price for a sales qualified lead if your average customer lifetime value is $5 million. If your average customer lifetime value is $50,000, that SQL price should be much lower.
No, fair enough. So let's talk about those, because the typical scenarios I see are $12,000, right? 10 to 12K. I see a 30K. I see a 50K. How do you approach those?
I think as far as like SQL cost,
is that a percent?
I think when you're,
go ahead.
I think it can be a percent, or I think it can be a hard dollar amount. I think, when you're thinking about things internally and looking at things internally, like the other challenge or mistake that I often see is people are not capturing all of your operational overhead, especially in a small company, and you have like a founder doing this. And I just read the founders study from Pivot that founders are paying themselves like around $100,000. Most of them are paying themselves less. So like it depends on the organization and structure and like how that operational costs are getting distributed. But if you have somebody from marketing who's helping with go to market, you need to capture that time as an expense that goes against what your internal processes are. Often that's not happened. So when people internally are saying like we're getting SQLs for $20 or $50, it's most likely not realistic.
Yeah, fair enough. So great conversation, Scott. I know we covered a lot. So folks, hopefully we learned a little bit about GTMiFi and how they're completely transforming AI for go-to-market, the AI GTM tech stack processes, hopefully bringing value to lots of customers in the coming weeks and months. So we're certainly having a lot of fun collaborating in a number of different projects. And so let me put up, Scott, the thank you slide. If you can talk about how people can reach you. I'm going to put that up now. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you guys are interested in talking more, like I'm happy to talk to anybody. You can find our contact information on gtmifi.io. I'm just Scott, SCOTT, at GTMiFi.io. There's my LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Like, comment, and repost on, I would say, the stuff that Mani and I put out there. So I would say I look forward to hearing from hopefully many of you.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. And hopefully that concludes another episode of AI GTM Talks. Come join us next week when we have Ryan Staley. Ryan is amazing. Met him through the Pavilion, again, community of revenue leaders, growth leaders.